Hi guys, I'm back with another little project for you. This time it is the paper and pencil book cover cases. Now that it is summer, I like to spend more time out in the garden or hopefully on vacation, and I like to always have a notebook with me. But my biggest problem is I'm always looking for a pen or a pencil. So I decided enough of this searching. I'm going to make book covers where the pencil case is permanently attached. So no searching. As you can see, it closes with an elastic closure, so it makes and getting in and out quick and easy. The pencil case is always there, but it's out of your way. These covers fit a standard A5 book, and you can, as you can see, the pencil case will hold quite a bit. You couldn't even tell there was anything in there. I'm sure I will eventually overstuff it. And I can toss this into my backpack or my purse or leave it on the table, and I can always make a note. I love that it's all in one. The best part, these are quick and easy to make. They do not require a lot of fabric. All fabrics can be used for it. The only thing is I do recommend using faux leather, cork, suede, upholstery fabric, non-raveling fabrics for the pencil cases because they are not lined. You will see the zip inside of the zipper. Personally, this does not bother me for this type of a pencil case because it's a simple, easy project. But if it does make you crazy, you can line the pencil cases. The only thing is, I suggest when you cut the fabric for the lining, make it smaller than the pencil case. Here you're cutting 8 by 5. So I would cut it 8 by 4.5 because you don't want the seam allowance going into the spine here. It'll get really fat and chunky there. So that's just my word of advice. Enough of my chattering. Off to the machine. Before we start sewing, I just wanted to go over some of the materials you will need. By the way, there is a full PDF pattern free to download in my Facebook group. Moments by Liz, of course. It's perfect for those that don't wish to listen to me chatter on how to make it. You can just download the pattern, cut out your pieces, and you're off and going. But for the visual learners and those that want to hear me go on and on, how to make something simple, complicated, this video is for you. So let's start. With the supplies, you're just going to need some fabric. You will cut the exterior the size. It will also have you cut a flap size, and you will need a lining piece. Yes, it is smaller. Normally in my book covers, I just use a piece of muslin for the linings because you don't see them and they're cream colored, and I find they match all fabrics. But for this video, so that you could see the fabric, I used an actual patchwork fabric. If your exterior fabric is cotton, you will need a little fusible batting. I used H630. Oh my God, I can't remember what that it's called in English. I think it's a Pellon. It's a fusible low loft batting. You don't want anything thick and bulky, because unless if you want that look, it is your book. But I just added a little bit more because I used a cotton fabric. On my red one where I used suede, I didn't put any batting or lining in it at all. Actually, none of the fabrics did I fuse with a stabilizer, because you want to keep this as soft as possible so that you don't want a big stiff thing. Okay, so we have the fusible, and then I have 2 pieces I used faux leather for the pencil case part. Like I mentioned before, you can use cotton and then line the whole thing. But I wanted something that was a little more durable, and faux leather is always, you know, is thicker. Don't have to do anything but use that. We have an 8-inch zipper. Let me see. Yeah, this is an 8-inch zipper. We will be cutting it down to 7 inches. So if your zipper measures can be a 7 inches from the beginning to anywhere here, that will work. A piece of a 10-inch piece of elastic, and 2 little 1-inch squares, the same as your vinyl for the zipper tabs. Okay, I think that's it. And then the usual notions. If you have zigzag scissors, that's great. Double stick tape, and I think that's it. Okay, as I said, the measurements you'll find in the pattern are for an A5 notebook, but I am sure it will be easy enough to adjust it to any size. Just take the measurements listed in the pattern, measure your book, either increase the height or the width, whatever needed, and it should work. If you have any problems, of course, ask in the group, and myself or one of the math geniuses will help figure it out. Unfortunately, I can only get A5 books. I don't know what size my American friends use, so you're going to have to work with me on that one. But I'm sure we'll figure it out. The important thing is that you see the technique, and I'm sure you can adapt it to any of the other patterns you may have. So, enough of my chatter. I told you I chatter too much. Off to the machine. Okay, let's get to the good part. Take your exterior fabric. If it is directional, has an obvious direction, you want it facing upwards like that, so it would run up and down. Like on my book with the writing, I made sure it was laying like this, not upside down. So if your direction is like this, just take a note. Also, so you know, the actual front section of your book cover will be approximately here, 4.5 inches in, because this part, you're going to see, we're going to draw a line later. It'll be folded inwards, so it'll make sense later, but I just wanted you to know, in case someone's fussy cutting or getting creative and wanted a certain design, right here on the book, you will see it is in this section. So I'm sure that was more information that you needed. So let's start. This is your exterior fabric. Flip it wrong side up. Now from this edge, left hand edge, measure 4.5 inches in and draw a line. That's the fold line I was talking about. That will be later, when it's sewn, will be this part of the book cover. It's just a way I reduced having an extra seam there, trying to reduce some of the bulkiness. So we have the 4.5 inch drawn there. Okay, now flip it back and take your the other flat piece. This is the other flat piece. This will be in the back section. This is this piece here, and if it has a direction, you also want to face up. Now with these two facing each other like so, these edges here, I want you to either pink or zigzag. It's just to prevent it from raveling, because we're not doing a double fold here, again, to reduce thickness. So I'm just using my pinking shears and this edge, and then I'm going to press that edge over after I've pinked it or zigzagged it. If your fabric doesn't ravel, then you can omit this step. Unfortunately, I always pick fabric that likes to ravel to China. So take these two fabrics to your ironing board, and I'm going to press them under about 3/8 of an inch, and then I'm going to top stitch. Okay, with the magic of video, they've been pressed under and top stitched. The reason I'm showing you to lay it out this way, because it's easy to get mixed up, especially if you have directional fabric, which end is which. Now, you can set this aside for a second. Take this exterior piece, flip it over again, and take your batting piece, if it's necessary, and place it onto this, matching the edge onto this line. As you see, it's a little smaller on the, so centric, because it's smaller on the 3 other edges. It's to help reduce the bulk. Okay, now off to the ironing board again. Okay, the batting is fused to the wrong side of the exterior piece. You see, this part is left, which will be your flap, is not fused, just to make it thinner. Now take this piece, flip it again, right side up, and we're going to make some more marks and attach the elastic. On the left hand end, not the end where we just folded and top stitch, you're going to measure 2 inches. Let's see if I can see that. And make a little mark on the top and the bottom. And you're going to take your elastic, your 10-inch piece of elastic. Before you sew it on, stretch your elastic a couple times so that to get it, I guess, activate or something. And check the measurement, and you see now that 10-inch elastic is 11. So I'm going to trim it back down to 10. That just means then it's going to stretch out quicker on me when I use open and close it. So we want to do it now. The elastic is longer than the bookcase because I wanted a little room for it to wrap around. So line up the elastic to that little mark you made. Oops. Clip in place. Oh my goodness. And baste it down. Okay, if you wish to have a bookmark ribbon in your cover, if your book doesn't have one already, take a 11-inch piece of ribbon. I think I might have forgotten that on my list in the beginning, but it's in the written instructions. And measure 5 inches in and make a little mark. And now place the ribbon next to that, also this on your top edge, and oops, sew baste in place. Okay, so set that aside. Now we're going to take the lining piece. See, I like to do all the prep work, so then when I actually sew, I can just go shoop right through. Take your lining piece, and on both short edges, just like you did on the exterior and the flat piece, pink both short edges, and you will also press them under 3/8 of an inch approximately. We have some playroom there, and top stitch the 2 edges. You do not do the top and bottom, just the short edges. So now off to my ironing board to press and then sew. Okay, that's done, and put that aside too. Now we're going to move on to the zipper. Take your little zipper. I take this end, this little end section. See if I can get up close. Overlap them a tick, 'cause I want to secure this because I'm going to be putting a tab there. Now I've sewed across the end, and now I'm going to trim fairly close because I want to be able to sew on this side of those little metal things. Otherwise, if I hit them, I'm going to break my needle. So take your one of your little tabs, and on 2 of the edges, doesn't matter which one because it's a square. I'm going to apply some double stick tape, and then I'm going to take 5 minutes to try to remove the paper from the tape. Okay, there's one, and there's the other. Okay, and I'm going to take this little piece, and folding it in half, I'm going to encase the end of the zipper. I want to make sure it's like folded in half. We can't press this because it's vinyl and it'll melt. I do tend to make the back side a tick longer, if you can see, so when I top stitch, I know for sure it's getting caught. Now I press that, and as you see, I make sure my the little metal things are out of my sewing area. If it's still close, I will trim this even more so that I know I clear the little metal buggers that like to break needles. There, we have this. Now I'm going to top stitch here. Okay, we have that. Now you're going to take your ruler and you're going to measure from this end 7 inches. And you're going to make a mark. And on that line, you're going to cut off the zipper. Da-da. Now we're going to repeat at attaching the tab, the second little zipper tab like before. Once again, folding this in half, sort of, and then wrapping it around your the other end of the zipper. And top stitch here again. Your zipper is done. Now you're going to take your 2 zipper pocket vinyl pieces, and we're going to attach the zipper to it. It's obvious. This one on the right hand side will be the one that will have the if you have a design that you want on top. This one will be here on top. This part will be underneath. So in case you've embroidered something or you have a certain design you want here, this one should be on the right hand side. Take your your little zipper pouches. I fold them in half, short ends together, and I find a little center mark. I do the same here. You can make just a mark or clip it. And then I take my zipper and I fold it in half and do the same thing. And so I have little marks. With the tab on top, lay the zipper tape right sides together on the left-hand piece of your zipper pocket fabric. Match up those little center marks, and you're going to clip that all in place. Okay, so let's see here. Because the zipper is shorter than the fabric, that's on purpose. So that's our seam allowance. And then later when we turn it, we want the zipper popping up. Okay, we have it based. Now I'm going to sew from end to end a 1/4 of an inch. Okay, the first zipper is attached. Now, technically, if you were going to add a lining, you would add the lining here and do all that, but we're not doing that. You could finger press this and top stitch along this edge, but since I like to sometimes use a contrasting color, and have to change the thread, I will sew these 2 first together and then I will top stitch. So now we're going to take this piece and attach it to this zipper See, so I'm going to have my pouch like this. I'm going to now sew the second half of the zipper tape. Okay, we have this. Now, we can't press this because it's vinyl, but you can use double stick tape or glue to hold it down. Or if you trust yourself, I just fold it out of my way. I will top stitch along this edge. Okay, we have the zipper pouch almost done. Now you're going to take this and you're going to fold it in half, right sides together, and pin just the sides. Because you only need to sew the two sides since the bottom will be in the seam. Okay. When sewing, you do sew with a 3/8 seam allowance. You do not need to get super duper close to the tab. Leave a little airspace in there. That's okay. We want that. Okay, you can see. Let's see if I can get this close. There's a little space between the tab and the stitch line, and that's fine. Now, take your pouch, turn it right side out. Pop out those little tabs. I like to use my, if I can find it, here it is, my out, push those out, and voila. You want this whole zipper, oops, let me try to turn it around, like standing up a bit. And see the tab ends? This looks lovely. Normally, you wouldn't even see the blue thread if I had used pink, but for the demonstration, I didn't switch. So now you can base this bottom edge. Okay, our little pouch is completed. Now comes the fun part, finally putting it together. Grab your, grab the exterior part and take your pouch and lay it on the raw edge, not on this end where it was finished, on the raw edge, centering it. Let me turn this around while I clip it. Okay, the zipper tab is on top. Okay, now I'm going to base that, and now take the side flap, and you're going to place that down on top of the zipper pouch, top of the pencil pouch, right sides together. Obviously, this is no magical steps. We've all done this 1,000 times. Clip this. Now I'm going to baste on these three sides. Ta-da, that part's done. Take your ribbon, tuck it out of your way. Now on this end, where you had the nice finish edge, you're going to fold it over up into where the batting stops, or your pencil mark if your fabric didn't require batting. Pin clip, and you guessed it, we're going to baste here. Okay, we're almost done. Now take the lining piece and place it right side down, centering it. There will be a gap from the ends, and that's to give us, so it doesn't go in the seam allowance and get really chunky there. I'm going to pin clip the top and bottom edges, and this time we're going to actually sew. No more basting. I like to sew with the lining facing down. That works best for me, but do what you love. Okay, now I'm going to sew the two outer edges. Okay, basically we're done, but I'm going to show you a little trick I do. Whenever I sew anything with these kind of corners, most likely, you know those awful little dog ear corners you get? So what I like to do is when I'm sewing this seam, I like to, about 1/4 inch or so, before the end, I like to, instead of sewing straight, I veer off at a slight angle, like this, but an 8-inch, like as if I've fallen off the curb. And I do the same when I'm coming from the other side and I'm starting. I start like as if I'm off the curb and I'm going on the curb and continue sewing my seam allowance. So I've caused a little, can you see that? There, it's like a little curve in there. Now I'm going to trim the excess. Normally I don't trim my corners because I'm afraid of raveling. But in this case, since there is a lot there, I'm going to trim a lot of this away. Voila. And that's it. Another little tip I want to tell you, if your book happens to be one that has rounded corners instead of straight ones, instead of driving yourself crazy and rounding the corners, just, I'm showing on this side because it shows better, where your seams were, where you sewed, just sew like kind of straight across, like just a little bit, so you're cutting off that excess pointy stuff. So I'm going to do that on this corner to show you the difference when I turn it. Of course, here I would trim the excess also, because that's a lot of stuff in there. Okay, that's it. Now, from either side, just turn the cover. Flip the flaps over. I always love this part where projects are coming together to an end. Now I have this little stubby flat screwdriver I like using for poking out my corners, or an rounded dull crafting boner thing. Okay, now poke out the corners so that they look nice and pretty. Of course, you'd give this a nice press, which I'll do in a second, but I want to show you the corners. This one could be manipulated a little more. This one is where I sewed it like a 90-degree angle, just to curve off the corner. And this is the one where I drove off of the, drove off of the sidewalk and back up, where I angled the corners a little bit, about 1/8 of an inch. And as you can see, it helps remove those pointy dog ears. Okay, now I am going to press this, and then we can put our book in. Now take your book and you just insert it in. On the back side, where all these seams are here, I like to make sure the book cover goes underneath them, so that so it's all on the inside of the inside of the book. So on the back side, I don't have extra bulk. Now that's it. Your paper and pencil case is done. Modify this to fit any size of books you have. Yours might be a little longer, a little narrower. You know, trim it off. You may want to make your pouch wider, so it covers the whole thing. You may like to carry a lot. Personalize this. I just come up with ideas for things I need, and show you how I do it, and then I want you to run with it and make it your own. Make it you. Doesn't have to be Liz. Hope you enjoyed the little tutorial, and enjoy your summer, and be sure to post pictures, because you know I like to see them. Till the next idea pops in my head. Tschüss.